In the early 2000s, I was a student at Howard University, and I ended up meeting a very beautiful young lady from Trinidad and Tobago. She was a mathematics major. She was studying actuarial science, which is like probabilities and things like that. Very beautiful. She won a scholarship, and she was there with some people from her home country. When we started to talk and, trying to get into, more of a serious kind of dialogue, she told me something that I'll never forget. She said that, hey, my parents told me that I shouldn't talk to Black American men or date Black Americans or hang around them. I thought this was interesting because, after all, she had come to a university. Now, I could understand if somebody was saying, hey, don't date gang members or guys who are in the wrong thing, but she's going to a historically Black college university and on the campus with other Black students like her who sometimes could be even more intelligent than she was. And so I kind of understood that a lot of the students at this time at Howard University, especially those students who came from the continent or from the Caribbean, they all hung around each other in cliques. Now, it could be because, they are familiar and so they wanted to resemble as much as home as possible, or was it because of something else? Then the confirmation came out the other day. I happened to be on Instagram and out of nowhere, I came across this particular clip.
I can't categorically say every Nigerian got this talk, but a lot of Nigerians that travel abroad got this talk from their family, where they will sit you down and tell you, you're going there. Don't go and talk to those Black Americans. You just go and get pregnant. You get into drugs. You become gay. They give you that talk that just go to the white community, find a nice place. They just go and be decent. Stay with the white people. They give you that talk. So when you enter America, you already have a perception of African Americans. You've judged them. And of course, they can see that judgment in your behavior towards them. And they see how you are almost like, yes, master, to the Oyimbos. They see, they're not blind. So when they have that feeling of, when they become defensive, when you're in their presence, it's because they see that perception you have of them. So I know I got that talk. And a lot of Nigerians got that talk. So we are over there, we are doing well, we are doctors, we are building houses, we are feeling like, yeah, so we come to the land of the living, we are there, land of the plenty, and we are doing well. Forgetting that some people sacrificed for you to even go there in the first place. So is that acknowledgement that the African American community are expecting of us, especially those of us living abroad in America?
Okay. Can I say something? And this is a Nigerian lady who I believe lived in the States, is now back in Nigeria, and she's talking about this division between the African American community with #FBA and Nigerians. And she's saying that, hey, we had this talk when we were coming up. And the talk was, we need to stay away from these particular guys. And typically you always hear the other side of the story, especially coming from, Caribbeans and Africans, that, hey, African Americans made fun of me, they did this and they did that. But on this particular situation, she's putting the ownership on the Nigerian community that came to America because, hey, this is a talk that that you had, and African Americans can feel this particular energy that you have towards them because they're not stupid. On one hand, you may have this energy towards them, and then when you're amongst whites, here you are being cordial or even docile. And so this drives the wedge between, the historical ADOS community or FBA and newcomers coming from the continent of Africa, in this case, Nigerians. Now, the comment section on this was hot, and I want you guys to kind of look at what they were saying. Mr. Moore Thread says, and this is why many Black Americans choose to delineate. Other person, B. Taylor, says the only reason Africans are even allowed any rights in America is because of our ancestors' fault for it. I have to admit, I'm Nigerian and I got that same pep talk. Guess who got humbled real quick by them? White people in nursing school. Me. They saw me as a threat and hated my soul. So yes, racism exists or still exists. Wow. While I'm proud to be a Nigerian, I gotta tip my hats off to the Black Americans that sacrificed their lives just for all of us colored people to be in this country. I learned my lesson the hard way. Whoa, this is important because, people believe that their struggle is not attached to our struggle. And just because you're black or you're from Nigeria or you're from someplace else, that you're not going to be mistreated. That typically is not the truth. And I'm glad she admitted that. And this is why we say all skin folk ain't kinfolk. The individual says, my dad must have missed that entire conversation. Came here, went to an HBCU on a scholarship and got married to a black woman and had all his kids by her. Now, this also could be the truth. I mean, like in the late 60s, especially when Nigeria and other countries were doing pretty good, when they first got, their independence, Nigerians were sending a lot of their students over to Black America. And I've heard from certain people that, hey, Nigerians in college and Liberians were doing so well. Some of them had like brand new cars, brand new Corvettes, and they were getting educated and had no intention on staying in America. They were going back to Nigeria or Liberia or Ghana because they had more opportunity where they were at. All right. And a lot of Nigerians went to the UK as well for their education. From the way we are treated, we already knew about that talk. Now, the situation here is, but we'll copy the same Black American mannerisms. Otherwise, basically, you will hate on the FBA community and then somehow you want to benefit from the cool side of the game. This person says Nigerian people have to educate themselves better because the only reason why they can take advantage of the United States is because of Black Americans. And on top of that, the whites have ruined your country too. This person says the same white people that didn't even allow Africans and Caribbeans to migrate over until after the civil rights movement in which Black Americans died for. You're welcome. This person says, but they will say Black Americans started the rift between us. No, y'all already had a perception of us before you came here and you acted accordingly. It's crazy that Africans are looked down on almost everywhere they go, and Black Americans are looked at more favorably around the world. That's why they want our identity and want to claim our culture now. How the F can someone belittle us yet give us the props in the same speech and think we're supposed to not feel disrespected? This person goes this: protect at all costs. We Black Americans love our African roots, but our African roots don't love us. We already have the white man against us. Shaking my head. This person goes, I will not lie to you. What she's saying is true. However, as an African, I don't agree with this. Many Africans I know don't agree with this either. I could agree to that. There's a lot of good Africans out there. It's mainly with generations that teach a certain type of division. I also wonder what's the point where the same people and gonna get discriminated the exact same. You're gonna see a Ghanaian in Texas. You're gonna think she's a Black American. You'll see a Black American in Ghana and think she's a Ghanaian unless she speaks or show her mannerisms or if you can identify phenotypes, okay? This other person goes, meanwhile, we have to advocate for them when ish goes left. Shaking my head, like in case of Africans get into some trouble, then Black Americans must come out and try to speak on their behalf. I want to add a lot to this conversation because now I'm an African American living in Uganda, okay? And Uganda has its challenges, but I have to also say, if I'm here in Uganda and I'm doing anything that brings success, well, one of the reasons why I'm able to do that is because of the development and the things that Ugandans have done before I got here. All right. They have done some things, a lot of things for me to be able to get the talent that I have around me. And yes, I'm benefiting literally off of their work and their sweat and their tears in Uganda. While it may not be the same as an opportunity in the United States, I would be a fool to say that if Uganda didn't give me this opportunity, I would be pretty much lying, okay? And this is something that you see that still has tension in the African American / Pan-African community. We have prejudged biases about ourselves, and that's one thing that's going to be very difficult at times to get around. I was recently at a very good networking event. That networking event was in Nairobi, Kenya. And the host of the event, it was called Nairobi Nexus. One of the hosts was named Ella Yemane, Yemane. You can check out her YouTube channel. She has like 3,400 subscribers. And the one thing I love about this particular event, it brought together so many people from across the Black world. I met people from South Sudan that was there. There was people that was from Kenya that was there. Obviously, you had those from the African American community and some Caribbean community. But I would have to say that it wouldn't shock me that in events like this, everybody would have had to overcome some preconceived notions about groups that they have dealt with. And this is something that is not easy, right? When you deal with people and you have been taught or you believe something about a person because of maybe what you've seen or what you think, you have to kind of wipe your slate clean to kind of really get over that. All right, we're going to be honest. A lot of us, are have that issue when we talk about Africa. We thought Africa, some of us, was all about poverty, it was all about disease, it was all about corruption until you get here. And then it takes some time for you to overcome those preconceived notions. And this is what is going to have to occur in order for the Pan-African community to grow. We need to have honest conversations about this and have some dialogue for times to forgive and try to heal and try to show value to each other. Because we can all say we're going to build the Pan-African world and we're all going to work together. But if we have not gotten over these preconceived notions, if we haven't just said, hey, listen, what I was taught about you as a kid was this, not to trust you and all of this in the group. And I'll be fair, hey, we've had some of the same conversations in my family. Hey, you don't know what you're over there doing in Africa, what you're doing trusting those people. Those are not our people. I have family members that tell me that or have told me that, right? So it can go both ways, but we gotta have honest conversations to try to overcome these things to go to the next level, and then I think if we're able to be real about, what our goals are, things can happen. And again, I want to give a really big shout out to Ella and the amazing event because it just broke all barriers. I mean, it's the first time she did it. It was like 50 or 60 people. It was on June the 5th. I had an excellent time. Shout out to brother Kevin Morrison. He was one of the people just really inviting people. But we need to get this stuff out. These are the tough Black conversations that need to happen. And oftentimes we're so quick to talk about business, talk about opportunities and what we can do together, who has the good network, who can invest, who has money. And then it's hard to move that forward when these preconceived notions can be there. And if those conversations are had, it's easier to move forward. So guys, what do you think? It's your boy O'Shea Duke Jackson back at it again with another episode of The Celebrity Junk. I appreciate you for all that you do. Subscribe, hit the bell. We're out.